Hello, my name is David Frost. I'm doing this interview tonight from Long Beach, California. Sorry I didn't get it in sooner. It's been a busy week, but it's going to be on time. So I'm going to be getting interviewed by my son, Alan, who's 17 years old. And Alan, why don't you ask me the first question?
Okay, the first question is what motivated you to apply for this position?
Well, I've been motivated to do this kind of thing for years. In fact, I have done it for quite a while. Um, I'd say about 25 years ago, well, more like 20 years ago, I started writing articles for the Orange County Register on sports and family issues because I think a lot of kids in the athletic arena have a lot of issues that they have to deal with, and sometimes parents make it more difficult rather than easier. So I wrote about 20 different articles over a period of time, and during all of that, I'd already achieved a master's in psychology, and I was working with people that had different degrees of mental illness. But doing this really got me interested again further in working with the psychology of young athletes. I mean, emotionally and in many other ways, they're not the most stable people because they're always changing as they grow up. And it's a real challenge. Some teenage boys, it's hard to get three words out of them if you ask them any question at all. Some of their favorite responses are, "I don't know," and things like that. So it's an effort. You have to find a way to push the right button to get the kids to talk, and then once they open up, then you have to understand where they're coming from and all the different perspectives that go with a counseling session. So that's how it got started, and I've been doing it off and on ever since.
Okay, next question. How have previous roles prepared you for this position?
Well, for me, I think I have an extra added dimension in terms of roles that I played, and that being that I was a real good athlete all the way from Little League all the way until playing professional baseball for 10 years, as well as going to college on a basketball scholarship. So I know two sports inside and out. I know athletes in as many ways as you can understand them from just being one of them, being a part of the peer group. And I think this is very important. I think a lot of people in this field know a lot of information and have great answers and great understanding, but sometimes an athlete is just going to feel better talking to another athlete. It's true of any field. People talking to people. Peer counseling is what we're talking about. So in terms of the peer counseling question or fact, I believe that that's a real added dimension that I can bring to this. So repeat that question again, the whole thing.
How have previous roles prepared you for this position?
Yeah, the previous roles: being a professional athlete, a basketball player, studying on it in the master's program, reading about it, working with other athletes, young athletes from age 7 to 21. All of that has led to me being qualified and experienced with this population. So I don't think there's any doubt that I would be able to handle the job if given the opportunity. And there's I guess there's other things I can do too, but they might be answered in the next questions. So let's go forward.
What do you feel are the challenges delivering a mental conditioning support within a high performance system and specifically with high school athletes?
Okay, I think high performance system. That's definitely what you guys have there at IMG. It's oriented towards high performance. So, what does high performance mean to a kid? Depending on the kid, some kids are going to thrive on pressure. Some kids are going to have a tendency to wilt. High performance, in many ways, equates with pressure. Whether you're trying to put pressure on a kid or not, he's going to feel it. But pressure is what kids need to understand that pressure is really what it's all about. And it's either you accept it from the outside or you get it from the outside and it gets to you, or you take the pressure from within yourself and let pressure work for you rather than against you. And pressure. What I tell kids sometimes: pressure can make a volcano, or it can make a diamond. And I tell kids, what are you going to be? You're going to be a volcano, or you're going to be a diamond. So a lot of it has to do with dealing with pressure. High profile athletes that are very good also going to have confidence issues. They're going to be most of them are going to be extremely confident, and then if things don't go well, they might lose that confidence. They might have problems with temper because very talented kids are often quite high strung, emotional. All you have to do is watch the world of tennis over the last 40 years, and you see where that comes out, stress wise and pressure wise. So yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg, but I think it's the number one thing: teaching kids how to deal with pressure, trying to regulate their emotions, trying to control their emotions when they play, not get up too much, not get down too much. Try to, if you're a baseball player, you almost have to be a flatliner emotionally because 162 games, you can't go up and down every game, or you'll be like a yo-yo. So emotional control, uh, how to get along with others. I think it's important to be a good teammate. If you're in an individual sport, that may be a little different, but being able to get along with your players, even in an individual sport like tennis or golf, being able to get along with the other guys that are out there. I know from the golf world, I know some people in the professional golf world, and you hear one thing on TV and you hear another thing in truth, and some of those guys just aren't very popular, even if they're very good. So I wouldn't want to be a real popular athlete in a professional setting, or a real unpopular athlete, even though I was good. And I want to get along with guys, and I teach people that.
Okay, next question. What approaches and styles have you utilized that may help ensure this role is a success?
Well, psychology is an interesting science. It's not a hard science. I remember in graduate school, the teacher said, "No, it's not a hard science. It's a soft science. It's soft. It's as soft as a baby's butt," which is probably true. And it's a practice. Whatever works, and I really believe that. Whatever works. Um, you can take a humorous approach at certain times. You can be serious. You can be intense. You can be laid back. You're a chameleon. You would use whatever works with the individual you're with. And this is something that takes practice. Sometimes you can read a person right away and you can tell what kind of an approach they need. Other people, you need to feel them out a little bit. Other times, you just know what to say. You know whether you have to be serious or whether you can be light about something. It all hinges on the individual and the situation. How important is it? How quick does it have to be learned? Is it something you can work on for a while? These are factors that make a difference too. Um, what was the rest of that again?
What approaches and styles have you utilized that may help ensure this role is a success?
Yeah, you can be their friend, you can be their coach, you can be like a parent. Um, again, you have to understand the person you're working with and what kind of approach would work best for them. Um, there's just no hard, fast rule on this.
Okay, next question. What informs your own sports psychology practice with athletes and their coaches?
Excuse me. What informs my practice? I think my experiences has led me to be humbled by the whole idea of sports psychology and athletes and what they go through and all the pressure they face and all the difficulties and all the things that are part of their world outside of sports that affect their sports world. So I try to be humble about this, and I try not to be a know-it-all, and I try not to act like I got all the answers. I just don't think, well, I don't, for one thing, and I don't think anybody wants to see somebody come across like the great Oz or the great guru. Um, I think it's all a lot better if you can just be comfortable with one another. And when people are comfortable with each other, generally they understand each other better and they can communicate better. And communication is what we're talking about in general for this whole position. How do I communicate ideas that young person needs to know and understand and incorporate into his own line of thought. So this kind of attitude, I think also it's partly been affected by the fact that I have played and I have been to the top and I have been to the bottom. Believe me, I've been on both ends of the spectrum at the highest level. So that gives me a different way of perceiving all of this as well. And like I said again, keeps me humble and also gives me a measure of understanding that you can only have if you've been there. And I think that that's something that should be brought to bear on the whole situation from my standpoint, and from the way maybe you consider me. Know that I've been there and I've done that, and that has an effect on how I see all of this. Thank you.
Okay, what sets you apart from other candidates applying for this position?
Oh, geez, I think I've kind of halfway answered that one as I've been talking. I hope I'm not wrong, but I think I'm probably one of the few professional athletes applying for this position. Maybe there's a few others, I don't know, but I'm certainly certain that that does separate me from a number of these players or a number of these candidates, and that's like I said, that's not the be all or end all, but it does make a difference. Kids sometimes are a little more interested in taking what somebody who's done what I've done. They say, "Oh, this guy's been there." They give him a little measure, more. Um, they'll listen harder. They'll think this guy might really have something to say, as opposed to somebody who just studied it a lot and loves the sport. They might, they might think he's great too, but I think in the back of their minds they're going to think this guy's really been there. Maybe he knows what he's talking about. And I think that that is not going to be the case with every kid. Pardon me, but I do think it makes a difference. And also, I'm probably one of your older candidates, but I'm young at heart, and I worked with kids the last 10 years over at Compton, age 8 to 18 or 21, 18 and 21, from ages 8 up to that. So I stay young at heart, and I still know how to deal with young people and connect with them and have fun with them and teach them and help them, which is what I love to do. When I was a professional baseball player, I helped myself. That's what professional athletes do. And there's just a big black hole there. There's no end to how much you can want. And when I got done playing, I didn't know what to do because I wasn't getting all that stuff anymore. And I finally got a job working with disabled people. And after about being there for 3 days, I realized that I really like doing something for somebody else instead of me. But I think the seventh question is the one that should be answered like this. But what sets me apart, as I already mentioned, a little older, I'm wiser. I have more wisdom. I have more experience. I have a greater perspective. This you can't help but pick that up as you go along in life. The longer you're around, the more you see, the more time you have to think about what's going on. Your perspective changes, and you're wiser than you were when you're 40. I know more now than when I was 40. I know more now than when I was 50, and I have different ways of looking at things. So I think that that's a benefit in my case.
Okay, this is the last question. Is there anything else you would like to tell us in support of your application?
Yeah, that story I was just telling you. When I got out of baseball, I thought I had a great future in front of me. I was going to go to Chicago and trade commodities, and very competitive, very lucrative. But when I got there, I realized I didn't like it that much. And then the first year that spring training came around, and that sun came up in Florida, and I wasn't down there playing, whoa, I get a bad attitude. And I started thinking I should still be out there. And, it was all nonsense because I was hurt, and I couldn't play very well anymore. But I couldn't accept that. So anyway, I was miserable for a few years, and then like I said, I got that job helping people who were disabled, and it just fell into my lap, thank God, and it turned me around in a week. I quit feeling sorry for myself when I saw these poor people that had all kinds of issues and difficulties. I was doing something for them instead of worrying about my own nonsense problems, which were minimal. And so I found out I really liked helping people, and I never knew that until I did it. So just know you got a guy who went from one end of the spectrum to the other. A guy who was a selfish professional athlete, living, pretty much day to day for the money, to a guy who found out almost by accident that he liked helping other people. So that's something you need to know about me. I've had that kind of a history, and I know all these years later, 30 some years later, that helping others is better than always trying to help myself. So thank you for listening to me, and sorry I didn't get this in sooner. And we'll send it off here in a few minutes and try to get it there before 11:59 Friday. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Good night.